Hey guys, it's Marco again. Today I have a raid video for you guys with Saber / build. This was a few days ago, so update to Saber / wasn't live yet. That means you should add about 10 DPS to every boss encounter I did. I just have to say that this raid is easy and the bosses should just roll down as long as you're doing tactics, so your build doesn't matter as much. However, if you want to have nice logs, make sure to come prepared, meaning that you bring both strength and agility elixir, world buff, 5% damage buff from Ashen Veil, 10% damage buff from Dark Moon Fair and Thistle Tea. As you can see, the hunter in the raid came prepared since he was going to log. I only came with BFD world buff, so I can compare all the builds wearing similar gear. Also, it's important to note that you need a blasting guild to have super good logs, since the best kill times are at least 50% faster than my kill times. This should be a good video for learning, since there are some things that you can't show in guides, so let's get started. Yeah, jumping is very hard, and as soon as I came back to that platform, someone with the debuff didn't jump into water, and he kinda hinted the rest of the raid, but it's alright. The boss, this boss is just meant to be annoying and not really challenging or difficult to kill. Also, as ranged, you can just stay away from the boss and like on the shore and DPS him from there. Now someone else again exploded with the buff in the raid and we all got knocked again, so basically for the whole fight I'm not even doing any damage. Which is kinda unfortunate, but it is what it is. I kinda deserved it. Oh my god, and I got knocked here as well. Oh well, I kinda deserved it since I failed the first jump. This boss is kinda annoying since you can't apply your poisons here, and as you can see I did apply bleed, but that's just because the patch wasn't still live, and I recommend actually going backstab build for this boss since you won't be able to apply bleed from Saber /. Mutilate build isn't as good because he's immune to poison. Now for the second boss, he's just a big turtle. First he starts with a shield and you just need attacks to break it. The most important thing here to know is that this guy has a ton of armor. So overall your DPS is going to be much lower than any other boss. Kinda the casters are gonna, let's say, carry this boss fight since physical damage is kinda useless to him. But basically just quickly stack those Saber / stacks and keep up slice and dice as much as possible. Since I got the 5 common points and my slice and dice is still active, I'm waiting a bit on my energy so I can press Envenom a bit later, so I can benefit as much as I can from the Envenom buff. The boss is about to regenerate his shell, so at this moment you just want to spend your common points on Envenom so you can do as much burst as you can. And I did Envenom here, but he parried or dodged or something happened and I didn't use my common points, which was definitely a mistake. Also, one more important tip is when you actually use Envenom and someone parries it or dodges it, you still get the Envenom buff, which is actually quite good. So you can just wait a few more seconds before using Envenom again. And ideally during this phase, when you don't do a lot of damage, you just want to stack as many combo points as you can and start generating your slice and dice and immediately start doing Envenoms when his shield falls. Here he parried my Envenom again, but I had to use Saber Slash since my stacks were about to fall off and I had Envenom buff, so I didn't really care about overcapping one combo point. And as you can see, Envenom does 546 damage and my basic attacks are doing like 50 damage, so Envenom is actually huge here. The third boss in the raid is Lady. She's quite straightforward, you just need to zerk her, there isn't really anything going on. Just the most important fact is that she casts a freezing arrow, you can't interrupt it, it used to be interruptible, now it's no longer interruptible, I tried to kick it, it didn't work. And you shouldn't get to 5 stacks of the freeze, otherwise you're gonna get stunned for 10 seconds. And that's not a very good thing to happen. And now as you can see, I'm waiting with using Slice and Dice until my Slice and Dice actually falls off, so I can have 100% uptime of it. Now I almost got stunned here, I got to 4 stacks of the slow and as you can see the druid got stunned. And now you just are focusing to do as much burst damage as you can with using Envenom. And this boss really falls off super quickly and I only did 164 DPS. And for Tisselty, I prefer using Tisselty after I use my Envenom, so I use Envenom, do a combo point generator, so Mutilate or Saber Slash pop Tisselty, and immediately do a few more combo generators. So that's gonna be my huge burst timing. For the Morlock boss, his first phase is pretty much tank and spank. You just wanna do as much damage as you can, and my Slice and Dice was gonna fall off here, and I think that it was a mistake from me that I pressed a new Slice and Dice. I should have just went with the Envenom. And now I was forced to Envenom with 3 combo points because my deadly poison was about to fall off and I didn't want that to happen. My ideal play here was to actually just spam Envenom, but I really underestimated the amount of DPS that my raid group had. So I would advise, if your guild has a very good DPS, that you only do like 2 combo points of Slice and Dice and then just focus on the Envenom. And now during this phase there's quite a lot of safe spots for these tadpoles, and your most important thing here is to just slowly generate combo points, so you can use Slice and Dice when the new phase starts, so you can actually do damage. And I was super unlucky on this boss fight because I dropped my deadly poison. I dropped my deadly poison even though I was constantly hitting him. So that's super unlucky and it will cost you quite a bit of DPS. I'm quite unhappy with how I did this boss, since I used my Slice and Dice way too many times and it wasn't worth it overall, since the boss has a very small health pool. Now again my deadly poison stacks fell off and that was super unlucky. I used my Slice and Dice correctly, I have 20 seconds of Slice and Dice left and the boss should be dead about then. Thankfully I managed to grind deadly poison quite fast. I used my Tisselty and I just went full Envenom so I can do as much damage as I can. As you can see, my Slice and Dice fell off and I'm not using it. I was gonna use Envenom to finish off the boss, but he feared me and he died before I couldn't even use my Envenom. Overall, not a very good pull, but at least you can learn from my mistakes. Also, since the boss fights are quite short, mistakes are costly, especially if the mistake is like dropping a deadly poison, even though it's not really your fault, it's just the RNG didn't like you, so he dropped your poison. Now for the fifth boss, it's a gauntlet. You will have to interrupt the priestess. I like to put some poison and some bleed on the main guy and then focus on the priestess and interrupt her, of course. And then just go back to the main Naga with your poisons and bleed still going on, so you're able to refresh it. Here I somehow have the aggro on the elite Naga, but it's alright. I missed my kick here, but it was kinda doomed since I had way too many combo points on the main Naga, so I was just hoping someone else is gonna interrupt. Here I only had one combo point before she started casting heal, so I was actually fine with dropping a combo point to interrupt her. Here I only used 2 combo points for slice and dice. Maybe I could have used 3, but I was expecting that the Naga is gonna die a bit sooner. We had an agreement that we want DPS Windfury Totem and that we're only gonna kill the Molten Totem and the Lightning Shield Totem. But as you can see, I'm in kind of a hectic position to actually DPS the totem. And for rogues, it's not very good to DPS the totems because you won't be able to apply the bleed. Your deadly poison will fall off probably on the boss. I only have 2 stacks of the deadly poison for this boss, so this boss isn't very good for rogues. But that's why I advise that you go for the backstab build here, if you can. Again, I'm losing quite a bit of uptime on the boss, but it's alright. I used my potion here because I want to climb up the DPS meter a bit and immediately press escape when the lightning shield totem is up and immediately focus it on it. And just hope that your deadly poison is not gonna expire. Now we have the molten fury totem and I didn't want to focus on it because I believe that the boss is a bit too low and that we can completely ignore it and kite it around a bit. And as you can see, my bleeds fell off even though I pressed in Venom a bit more quickly just to refresh them. But again, the game is the game and sometimes you're just gonna get unlucky. Now we come to the penultimate boss. This is actually the hardest boss of this whole dungeon. And the good thing about him is that he's quite peaceful and he's just gonna kneel there, do whatever he wants, and you can start with just garroting him. Here your task as a rogue will mainly be to interrupt his chains cast, so make sure that you have enough energy to interrupt the cast like I did there. And always try to be behind the boss, and there's one mechanic here, he's gonna take you into the dreamy realm, I guess, and you need to kill the priestesses, and the 2 closest players to the boss are gonna be taken down. I gathered 5 combo points and now I'm literally just waiting for my energy so I can press in Venom. And your DPS is gonna hurt a bit on this boss because you have to use a lot of energy on your kicks. And now I got teleported to the other realm with a druid, but we made a quick work out of it. We only needed to kill 3 priestesses to get out of it, the new portal. Now I just use Vanish to apply Garrot, because this is gonna be, after all, this is a burn phase of the boss. Now I'm just stacking with Feral Druid and trying to avoid all the other melees. I used all my cooldowns here, I used my gloves, I used my Thistle Potion, so I can have more energy, and this is basically the race. Are you gonna kill the boss before he kills you? And there it was quite a clean one-shot. And now the last boss is kinda underwhelming compared to the penultimate boss. But at least he can drop some nice loot. I started with sprint and garroting the boss. Now I just did 2 combo points, went with slice and dice and continued spamming Saber slash. Now as soon as my slice and dice went down, I immediately refreshed it with a 5 combo point one. And now my next combo point spender is going to be in Venom. I actually went with Vanish here because I wanted to apply another Garrot and to drop my aggro, because I kept getting aggro from the tanks. Luckily my deadly poison didn't fall off, that's why I've used my Envenom a bit sooner, so I don't have the issue of dropping off the deadly poison stacks. Now I used my slice and dice. Maybe it was a bit of a mistake, since I could have used it on like 3 combo points and then use the rest of the combo points for Envenom, since the boss is soon gonna phase to the Void phase and he's gonna be untouchable. And as you can see, he's only taking 11 damage or whatever. And as you can see, we didn't get any elementals and we're just gonna sack the tank in this phase. So it's gonna be kinda hectic, because we thought that the paladin can just bubble the stacks, but that was removed. As you can see, I was kinda unlucky here, because before my last stack of combo points, so before my 5th combo point, I dropped my Envenom completely. Now I just used Thistlety and Envenom, so I quickly gather back up those 5 deadly poison stacks, because they do quite a good DPS. But again, my unluck is unbelievably big, and again I lost my deadly poison stacks. This definitely wasn't ideal, super unlucky. I said it way too many times this dungeon already, it's just RNG and you can't really fight it. You can play around it a bit with faster Envenoms, but usually you wanna believe that you're gonna refresh your stacks of deadly poison. And again, this is the 3rd time that my deadly poison fell off from the boss, so your Envenom is gonna do a lot less damage. So maybe it was even a mistake by applying Envenom here, because I only had 2 stacks and Eviscerate should have been better, since Rupture wouldn't do its full damage because the boss is gonna inevitably die. And this is the loot, kinda underwhelming since I didn't even press need on anything. And that's it for the video. I hope that you enjoyed this style of commentary while doing the bosses. After this I did a Mutilate raid, and I still haven't done the Backstab raid, but I'll do those and I'm gonna post those videos as well, so we can compare the DPS between the bosses, since I'm gonna wear the same gear and I'm gonna have the same world buff. Thank you for watching and bye bye.